Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Mukhtar. We are covering in a special edition now the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's European tour, as the President started his tour with Denmark, then Norway today and yesterday, and is going to end his tour with Ireland. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have held talks on Monday with the Norwegian Prime Minister Johan Gahr Store at the governmental hospitality premises in Oslo, which is as part of his visit to Norway. The visit is the second leg of President Sisi's European tour that took him first to Denmark and also includes a visit to Ireland. The extended talks were joined by the delegations of the two countries. Earlier today, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held bilateral meetings with the Norwegian Prime Minister that was followed by a signing of a ceremony of several cooperation agreements between Egypt and Norway. To shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to have with us over the phone our dear guest, His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon. How are you?
How are you, sir? Well, Your Excellency Ambassador Bayoumi, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi today is in his second leg tour to Europe in Norway, as he held several talks and discussions with the Prime Minister of Norway, and the visit witnesses signing of important memorandum of understandings. We'd like to shed more light on the signing of agreements.
The agreement is very important because it is upgrading the level of contacts between Egypt and Norway. Of course, the relations always is carried on by ambassadors and embassies, by ministers of foreign affairs and so on. But now we are upgrading this sort of contacts and directing the relations up till the presidential level, which is a sort of much more addition to the relation between the two countries. By the way, Norway, we have a lot to exchange of experience. I have two things very interesting about Norway.
Yes.
The ambassador of Norway told us that Norway and Denmark were one country some years ago. And because Norway is less developed, and it has no sources of money, so they separated themselves from this union. Afterwards, Norway discovered oil, and this is one rare country in Europe which has oil now. It became a rich country again. Another lesson I learned from the ambassador of Norway in Cairo, that something like 100 years ago, during the time of Muhammad Ali,
Yes.
Egypt and Norway had the same number of population, 5 million and 1 million of the capital, whether it is Oslo or Cairo. MashaAllah, after 100 years, Egypt is 100 times more than 100 million inhabitants.
Yes.
And Norway is still 5 million inhabitants and
Yes.
1 million in the capital. This is a lesson I want to learn, how to manage our increase in population, and because the birth rate is much more than the time we are making progress in our economy.
Yes.
Then now we of course, both countries are members in the European Union. One of them will be in the share of presidency, which is very good to exchange views. And if you ask me about what are they discussing, they discuss in brief whatever it comes to you in your mind as Egyptian citizen, or to me as Egyptian citizen. Of course, we are all of us, we are worried about the international situation where the United Nations failed to take decisions concerning the disastrous situation in Palestine or in Lebanon. Although in the General Assembly we succeeded to gain 154 votes with the Palestinians to stop the war. We are worried about the war in Ukraine. They must discuss this matter and to make sure that it would not affect our economy and our security. The trade war between the United States and China, and even against Europe, that United States is imposing more taxes against the exports from whether Europe or China. The problems, the security problems in the eastern side of Asia, between China on one side and Russia, and with Japan, with Korea, whether North Korea or South Korea, and the old China, Taiwan.
Yes.
In our region, we are worried, and we have to discuss the problems in our region also. What is happening in Syria is very important to us. It affects our security. What is happening in Lebanon and the attack from the Israeli army, what is happening against our Palestinian brothers. Libya is not in good health. Sudan is not in good health. Yemen changed from an allied Arab country to a threat to the Suez Canal navigation.
Yes.
Then we come to the third important file, which is the bilateral one, the trade between Egypt and those countries, the investment, and we are trying to attract more and more direct investment to our country. We need this because our savings is not enough to cover all what we need as a capital for our projects.
Yes.
Many things are on the table, and I am quite sure that this is the time and the persons who can deal with all these matters, and I am optimistic here with the relation between Egypt and the three countries our president is visiting.
Yes. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will hold meetings with King Harold V and the Crown Prince, and also the Parliament Speaker later on Monday. What is would be high on the agenda of the talks?
It is very important, and all the subjects I mentioned, of course, it is on the table. And the good thing that the president is there with his collaborators of ministers, the concerned ministers. Also, he has some members of the business community. It's very good that they are there to listen and to tell the two leaderships what are the obstacles concerning investment in Egypt or in those countries, or what are things which can attract more foreign direct investment to Egypt. And the message here that we are telling our counterparts there, that Egypt is not the market of 100 million inhabitants only. No, we have a free trade area with the Arab countries,
yes,
which are 400 million inhabitants,
yes,
with Africa 1 billion inhabitants, and with the European Union also with another 500 million there. So we are telling our partners, if you come and invest in Egypt and produce an Egyptian commodity, then you can export it to a market of 2,000 million,
yes,
without paying any tax or so.
yes.
Another thing that the geographical position of Egypt is wonderful, that you can produce in Egypt, then you are very near or nearer to China and Japan.
Yes.
And this is a fashion now, that if you come to Egypt, then you are in the middle of the whole world. Or, as you well know, now if you want to buy Brazilian coffee or Brazilian sugar, it is in the stores in Beirut.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go up till Brasilia or Rio de Janeiro. This
Yes.
is the fashion
Yes.
of the new trade we are attending now.
Yes, Your Excellency, Ambassador Bayoumi, as we went through the visit by the President to Norway yesterday and today, you would like to shed light on the President's first leg of the European tour that started with Denmark, as during the President's visit to Denmark, the President held talks with the King Frederick X, and also Queen Mary, and also with the head of the Parliament, and there was also a signing of agreements and memorandum of understandings, and the most important thing is the cooperation in the fields of maritime, of energy, of green transformation, of fighting or combating the illegal migration, combating terrorism, and also poverty. How did you follow this?
Here I start with something which we are committed with all the European countries according to the association agreement get into force in 2004.
Yes.
That we are committed to combat the organized crime. This means drug trafficking, it means illegal migration, it means terrorism, and any crime which we are fighting together. So we are committed to do this with the cooperation of the European Union and all its countries, including Denmark and the other countries. As of the parliamentarian side of the question, it is very important also that our parliamentarians would talk to their colleagues on the European side. So we are not in need to wait until their government tells the parliament and get its approval. There is a direct contact between parliamentarians on two sides. A third dimension, which is the businessmen. Now we have the businessmen around us. They tell us how to be more efficient in trade and investment. They tell us what do they need, much more to be done in order to make our life much better. And as of the exchange of experience, and you mentioned the maritime transport. Yes, I personally, I was director of a project, Egyptian European program, which we call it upgrading the government institutions in Egypt by making sort of twinning between our Egyptian institutions and their counterpart in Europe. We started by the central bank, with the Central Bank of Europe, with the help and the presence of 8 central banks in Europe. We started by maritime safety, yes. Water, irrigation, roads, and if you have a car, please look at the number on your car, because it is a cooperation between Egypt and Germany. It is a grant from the European Union.
Yes.
Anything would come to your mind, there is a cooperation to share the experience between Egypt and the European Union, and we have something like more than 150 projects of that type.
Yes. I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information. Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much for joining us over the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break and I'm going to be back with you.